Friday Night Primetime returns to Watkins Glen, and today it's time to shine things up a little bit. The dentists head out in upstate New York. Welcome to week 2 of season 3 in 2023. Delighted to have your company once again as we make our way around the iRacing official series as we give you the opportunity to choose what we're going to cover every single week. Arjuna Kanki Party on hand alongside with Derek Watson for the first time for Friday Night Primetime coverage. Don't forget, you can follow along with live timing and scoring by heading to RaceSpot.tv/timing. Derek, this is a car that many have been excited for. The LMP3 machine has joined the IMSA ranks in recent years, but now it joins the virtual scene, and today we'll get to see what some dentists have out on this display. 68% of our community wanted to see this combination at Watkins Glen.
They certainly did. I know I voted for Gen 4s, but we're here at the Glen in a car that everyone's excited for, but maybe a track we're all a little tired of racing. We all did it for the 6 hours last weekend, and now we're doing it for the LMP3s this week, Arjuna.
I'm definitely sick of it a little bit, but mainly because I just have to keep commentating about races at Watkins Glen. I was kind of looking forward to Gen 4 Cup Fix. Pro 2 Truck, I have a soft spot in my heart for dirt racing, but it was unanimous, effectively, across the board. No one really wanted to do anything except, as Dustin Hollis, one of our RaceSpot producers, is jumping into the chat to say, see if these dentists can floss their way up through the field. There are plenty of puns that you can throw the way of these LMP3 machines. And what a season that they've got to start them off in this LMP3 Turn Trophy. Fix set up 20-minute races. It's a great introduction, Derek, to drivers who want to get into prototype racing, and they'll go around the world to some of the greatest tracks that iRacing has to offer, as well as some of the newest.
Yeah, some great tracks here. Long Beach, obviously the Nürburgring, Road America. There's some great tracks in the schedule, and a very tough schedule with these 20-minute races.
20-minute races does mean that there's not much time, and I always think that it means that action. You and I were speculating how many are going to survive turn number 1.
No, that's going to be a tight spot, because in a 20-minute race, Arjuna, you can't sit back, you can't wait, you can't lay in the back. If you want to win, you have to go for it, and I guess here's our second dentist pun. You have to be willing to fill in those spots, and that's not my best one.
Good filling.
There you go.
I tried as well. Let's talk about Watkins Glen. I don't disagree with you again. I'm slightly sick of it. However, it's a simple track, a fast track, a flowing track, and one that does tend to produce lots of dramatic opportunities for passing, especially into that fast run up through the S's as you head up to that bus stop chicane.
Yeah, that bus stop chicane begins the really difficult part of the track, the chicane into the carousel corner, and out through the boots. That boot is where we'll see most of our problems on this race today, I think.
It's that entry downhill that you're not really seeing the elevation really represented on this track map, and that's one of the big talking points that we indeed have. Relatively strong field, by the way. It's always a bit of a gamble for Friday Night Primetime. A, whether a commentator is going to be able to produce your name, but B, as well, what the strength of field, how many strong iRacers are going to show up. Leo Brown, 7,400 iRating, currently provisional pole position in front of Paul Mounet, and then Chris Wheeler, all a minimum of about 4,500 iRating. 20-minute races does mean there is no pit stops for these drivers to worry about, but doesn't mean that tires aren't a concern, given that track temperatures at Watkins Glen can often be scorching. Here rolls Nathan Nicholson to the line as the Lightning McQueen powered car will not be able to improve in terms of position. 7th will be where he lines up. I mentioned track conditions. I'm very curious how those are shaping up. Of course, we use the correct units here, Derek, degrees Celsius, 49 of them.
That's a pretty hot track. We're going to debate the correct one, being that I'm from the States, but we'll let it go. That's a very hot track. This is going to be very slick. Not a lot of grip for these drivers in these cars.
Yes, as a now resident American, I've got to make sure that I at least keep part of me international, and so I do that by championing the metric system. But it's always fun when I can break out the line on a world championship, and Zach Campbell takes Imperial units to victory lane. It doesn't happen very often. 13 times have been set. There are a couple of drivers yet to punch in lap times. David Grant becomes the 14th to do so, but still Peterson and, well, now Luca Morelli going to be unable to do so as time winds down in qualifying.
And that part that part of the track right there, Arjuna, that's one of the most difficult parts. Those two corners right there. We'll probably see a couple cars get in the grass and lose it right there, although he might just give it up on the qualifying run.
I don't think he was necessarily going to even get to the line in time, given how much of the lap that he still had to go. There's an ominous view at the bus stop with the mega curb on the inside that everyone wants to get as close as they can. These Ligier LMP3 cars, a great introduction to the world of prototype racing, and for us, it's our second stop on Friday night primetime. But we return to upstate New York. 14 qualifying times on the board, 18 Ligiers getting ready to head down to the starting grid for what will be a full formation lap. Plenty of opportunity for them to get steeled ahead for the 20 minutes that get thrown up onto the board. Let's dial you down then through today's starting grid. Well, there are some liveries that are easy to make out, and then some that will blur into one another. It's Leo Brown in the black Ligier that will bring us to the green with a 1:45.31, almost closer to a GT3 time than a GTP time. He's got Paul Mune alongside, just a 10th off the pace, with Chris Wheeler out of Asia, alongside with Diego Morelli on row number 2. Christian Hausmann and then Ali Kaglar, 5th and 6th positions, while rolling from 7th. It's going to be Nathan Nicholson, hoping that Lightning McQueen can ride with him up through the field. Jose Herrero, Esteban Steffel in some Hyundai liveried Ligier cars, and then Wojciech Luchak will round out your top 10. Gary Gachang and then Ryan Ware, 11th and 12th positions. Hopefully not unlucky 13th for Patrick Yarczynski. Yonel David Grant's 14th final car with a time on the board, and then Luca Morelli, Chad Peterson 15th and 16th, and then two teammates seemingly with identical liveries that will roll off at the very back of our 18-car LMP3 grid for a 20-minute race. Small grid doesn't always mean boring race, because at the end of the day, Derek, you only need 2 to tango.
You only need 2 to tango, and you just need just a wheel and a chair to be able to win a race here, Arjuna. So it's going to be exciting to see how it all happens. These are the races where I think, you said the strength of field is pretty vast. I think like 7.5 to 2.8K roughly from first to last year. But this is where you can make up a lot of iRating if you're that 2.8K driver. Pardon me. That's easy to say.
Good point, actually. I've been so far removed from actually driving in official sessions that sometimes we forget that there is iRating up for grabs, iRating that helps you to get into some of those iRacing special events that, of course, we've just finished up with the latest of, the iRacing 6 Hours of the Glen. We did not see these LMP3 cars in that race, but maybe we will see them a little bit more with the GT4 cars, because that's where IMSA will bring LMP3 and GT4 together next year for the VP Sports Car Championship. There's also its equivalent on iRacing 30-minute races with the LMP3 as well as the GT4 machines. 100 feet of elevation change from the bottom of the S's to the top. It's where we do tend to see some big dramas, but with no multi-class traffic, Derek, maybe it's not going to be such a major talking point.
It'll be a talking point except for the leader. The guy with clean air out front doesn't have to worry about catching a GT3 or a GT4, I guess would be the appropriate conversation for these cars. So he'll have an easier time. But the guys in the back in a fixed setup, they'll still have a hard time.
Yes, fixed setup, again, equalizes things, but it does sometimes allow some drivers to have more comfort than others. I think that's the best way of putting it. When you don't have adjustability to get the car doing what you want, you have to change what you're doing to get the car settled into some sort of a balance. And some drivers are better than others at that. This was a bit of a fixed week, so it was in terms of the primetime voting opportunities. All 4 of the options, Derek, were fixed setup series.
They really were. And I kind of like the fixed setup series because I think it teaches you how to drive a car. You can't go in there and tweak and make something your own. You have to learn how to deal with what's given to you. And I think once you master a fixed setup series, Arjuna, it becomes easier then to go out and do an open setup where you get some freedom. But it's a fixed setup. Everyone has the same opportunity. Your mentality and your preparation is what determines how well you do here.
I think the best fixed setup drivers aren't the best fixed setup drivers always because they're just good at getting the most out of the car. But often you'll find that good open setup drivers can be good fixed setup drivers because they understand what the car is doing. And so that means if you are maybe new to the world of setups, then You can start with the fixed setups, and just by tweaking things here and there, understanding what the different setups do from week to week, you can build your own baseline for how to mechanically get a car going a little bit faster. Do remember, if you are new to the world of iRacing, you are not currently part of the community, you can join us as part of Friday Night Primetime, not just as getting your voice heard, but also competing out there on track. To learn more, new memberships 40% off. Head over to iRacing.com today. Expectations, Derek. I'm not going to ask you for a winner, a prediction, but expectations for the 20 minutes and the 12 laps that lie ahead.
My expectation is the most tense moments of the races will be turn 1 and the S's here on the first couple of laps. Once we get that sorted out, I think we'll have a lot of fun.
And I think then we'll start to see how strong the draft is, because last 3 months in iRacing, that's been a big talking point. Already, though, we stack up, getting ready to see the green flag. Big puff of smoke, but Leo Brown brings us to the green flag in upstate New York. 2 wide for second, almost 3 wide further behind, though, as they descend down into the 90. Lightning McQueen with a big old send as they get onto the brakes for the very first time. Do need to be careful you don't wash out 2 wide and pick up a slowdown penalty. They'll avoid 3 wide for 6th position just about, but side by side up through the S's, they work their way to the bus stop chicane.
Oh my gosh, Arjuna, as both the driver and a team owner, side by side through the S's gives me chills and nerves and goosebumps all at once.
Are they going to stay side by side through the bus stop? No, not inside of the front, but it's not going to matter. From third, Paul Mooney's going to bin it. He's not the only one. A second car spins in sympathy. The curbs can be treacherous, especially with tires not yet in their pressure windows.
I feel like that go bowling at the Glen theme, Arjuna. We just got a turkey. That's 3 cars off all at once.
Oh, that's wonderful. Everyone else, though, safely through, but not without significant fighting further back has allowed Leo Brown to build up his advantage to almost 1.3 seconds. Once again, almost 3 wide further in the pack. Lower power machines can get away with a bit more. David Grant, though, goes around.
All right, now we're going to come down to my least 2 favorite corners of this track here. This right-hander and then this left-hander coming up. This slow left-hander is the easiest one to lose the car. Oh, a little bit of a bump draft there almost.
That was Lukacek who was getting pushed out wide. Herrero's going to go around the outside, and potentially Peterson's going to try and follow through. I didn't realize you could bump draft in LMP3 machines, but they're trying it.
Well, maybe they didn't know that until right then, actually.
Through the final quarter they'll come. Leo Brown will lead them to the line. 1.4 seconds clear of Chris Wheeler, so almost out of that drafting range. Just look at how they continue to trip over each other just inside of the top 10. It's Merrily and Peterson side by side behind them, Morelli and Jodzinski.
And if you're Leo Brown, Arjuna, this battling and this side-by-side, way out to the side there, this battling and side-by-side behind him is exactly what he wants to see. Every time you're side-by-side behind the leader, you're losing time, and that leader gets more of a cushion and more of a comfort on his lead.
1.4, though, is still in the draft, so he's going to have to make sure that he pushes on this second lap in that middle part to make sure that he gets the most out of it. Single file well and truly through the field now, though, as they recognize that they've got to make the most of limited time, 20 minutes, probably 12 laps or so, and with them, for the moment, calming down. Let's cycle back to what happened after they went side by side up through the S's. They're going to break out of the trees, and we're going to see Mooney just in front of the field, just looping it by himself, and then a good save from Morelli, who almost had issues of his own.
I think that front car probably just caught his tires up in the left-hand curb here. Let's take a look here. That's the different one. But yeah, I think that left-hand curb and getting too far to the left in that bus stop's what got most of them. Get your tires off in that grass, and it's a difficult drive.
And this was further behind as Gachnang also went around, just avoided, at least in the case of the first car hitting the wall. Not so lucky was the second car. Up the inside for Breedel. You're not going to squeeze past Peterson as both cars already up 6 and 7 positions respectively. Just as I was saying, Breedel was having a good day. He's going to block off his teammate as he rejoins.
That's a difficult day when you're blocking a teammate. That's how you know you're having a hard time, because I'm sure the communication, whether it be Discord, TeamSpeak, whatever they got, there's some words being thrown around there.
Probably just a few. Looks like Nicholson's gone off as well in his Lightning McQueen entry. He sees Ryan Ware slide on through behind the 7 and the 10 swap around. Unperturbed, though, for the leaders as we continue to cycle our way through a couple of incidents. That was David's Grant, who was on the outside and in a shared livery that a couple of the cars are running, just ran out of room.
Yeah, just ran out of room, got pushed outside, maybe bumped a little. Oh, yeah, definitely, I think got bumped there through the corner. Nice job, though. Got it out of the wall, or kept out of the wall, and he'll keep running.
And so down in 16th, but yes, like you said, no damage on the car at least, which is always important to see. 1.7 now the margin at the front as they work up into the toe for the third time. See if we can, at some point, by the way, pick up what happened with all of the tripping over each other at the penultimate couple of corners. Nathan Nicholson still trying to recover after his own little incident. Let's try and figure this out. So before Brito goes around, there's someone else that goes very sideways in front of him. And then as he tries to jink to the inside, there is contact with Peterson. And do they make more contact on exit?
No, I don't think so. They managed to work that out. Well, maybe right there, actually. That might have been, oh, that's that sideways we saw in the back of that camera. Again, they make contact either out of that corner, or he gassed it too hard. Oh, there's contact.
Yeah, it's just how the corner funnels in, and then at the very same time, Nicholson just picks up the grass on the left-hand side, and grass on one set of tires, tarmac on the other. It's an imbalance that no car likes, and around it went.
It's fair to say he just kerchowed it right into the outside wall there, Arjuna.
Lightning McQueen puns reign supreme. I'm disappointed in NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. You don't hear Evan Pasoko give enough of the McQueen puns when it comes to the one and only Casey Kerwin, who does run the 95. Here's a look at what is a fight for fourth position behind the Hyundai liveried Ligier. You've got Ali Kaglar trying to hunt down Istvan Steffel, but Jose Herrero, Wojciech Luchak behind. Herrero's off into the wall, the third victim of the bus stop.
That's at least the third victim, and just getting there too hot. Maybe you're following someone, maybe a little bit of dirty air is affecting the front of that car, or you're just pushing too hard, and that's what will happen. Patience in a 20-minute race can still be a factor, Arjuna. He's so on board here.
He's had to head down to pit lane as well. You can almost
too much.
You could feel it in the car that he's taken all four tires off the ground there with how much curb he's used.
And that's a point. Watch this here again. You talked in the beginning of the show about how they need to use that curb on the right-hand side. This is a case of getting too much curb. Oh, I think that was four wheels off all at once there.
I mean, we could keep watching in slow motion, but this is not going to be pretty, and the damage bill for the dentists, unfortunately, starting to rack up.
Yeah, there's some high insurance premiums that's going to be in effect after this.
We joke about that, but it was an actual conversation that was had during Le Mans about the fact that now that GTE is no longer GTE Pro and it's just GTE AM, that there is the reality that insurance premiums are going to go up. Motorsports insurance seems like insurance is a scam in and of itself. Motorsports insurance, wow, that seems really crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to guess their deductibles are a little higher than ours.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, a set of tires cost you $4,000 US for the Porsche Carrera Cup North America. That's definitely more than I pay in insurance every year.
Yeah, for sure. Leo Brown, by the way, has been a real class of the field here. Watch this here. He's coming out of this corner. He's got himself up to a little over 2 seconds of a lead here. And obviously, he's the one car in the official session. That means he has the highest I rating. And I think we're finding out why. But a good job here by Wheeler for keeping up and just holding on to that second spot.
It's been a impressive job, given that these cars don't look easy. Just because they have less power, I think people might misunderstand that to mean that they're easy to drive fast. It's easy to get safely around a track in this machine, it seems like, but to get the most out of it, you really have to hustle it. Nicholson maybe sliding backwards still. David Grant has already gone through. Ryan Ware is going to try as well, but almost drifted up the track midway through the corner. Nicholson was there, and Ware had to bleed off the throttle, and the 12 holds on for the time being. See how this three-way fight for 12th continues. 18 cars started, 3 retirements if you're curious.
Yeah, that's a great job being side by side and having patience. Obviously, Nicholson looks to be a fast driver in these cars, and now is just trying to find a way to cut himself through the field and salvage what he can here.
So 3 cars for 12th position. It's 4 cars now for 5th position. Down through the 90 once again. Steffel still just off the podium spots. Kaglar, Lukacek, and merrily behind. I must say I'm much more impressed by my performance with the pronunciations this week. It helps when there's only 18 names to read for the first time instead of the 50 names that we had last week for our special presentation of the IMSA iRacing series, all building up to that third VCO Grand Slam. Another great shot through that chicane, and you saw just how close Steffel was to that curb versus Kaglar, who was a little bit wide, and that's because the bump in that inside curb is right in the middle, and so if you go to either side of it, if you make sure that you avoid the worst of the bump, you can be relatively assured that you're going to be safe. Two different approaches that we saw there, one all the way to the wall, one a little bit off the apex.
And you know, and a lot of people in iRacing have the belief that if you don't freak your teammates out when you go for that curb and that wall, you're not doing it right. You want to get as close as possible. In fact, there's a point in the sim where the sim will almost register a wall hit in audio, and if you don't hit that audio, some teammates think you're not driving hard enough, Arjuna.
Which teammates are these? Because I want
crazy people.
Yeah, I want to be never teammates with them. Can you imagine the stress that you're putting on yourself if you're just watching your teammate in every lap? You're going, he didn't have damage. Is he going fast enough?
Oh, I've lived through a 24-hour race of that. It's not fun.
No. Yeah, I was having this discussion with some real, top-level sim drivers and how it maybe differs to the real world. The fact that you don't have to worry about wrecking a car means that sometimes there's incentive in sim racing to just push as hard as you can, and so maybe debriefing after an incident. I'm not trying to say that everyone should try and blame themselves for everything, but understanding what you could do differently is always an important thing. I wonder what Ryan Ware is thinking about what he could do differently in this situation, by the way, because was running in 15th, is still running in 15th, but now a little further behind a couple of other cars.
Oh, that was by himself. I thought it was just a lack of focus maybe for a moment, or if he turned his head to look at something, a triple monitor or a message or something. But watch this. This is a good exit.
It's a little bit tight maybe to the apex, slightly compromises him, and that's, I guess, the story of this bus stop boot section of Watkins Glen, not the bus stop, this entire second half of the lap, where they're fast-flowing corners, and so if you're slightly offline, we usually talk about that in the context of traffic, Derek, you very much have got to be careful because it's an old-school track, no runoff.
No runoff, although that's an interesting topic, too, that runoff as we get back down into turn one again. There's been a few guys who've been up there every lap in that runoff. I'm starting to get concerned about their incident points here if they're going to last all 20 minutes.
I hope that they get bitten by the hand that feeds them, that is the iRacing system, because there's no need to run all the way wide through turn number one at the end of the day. It's much better to actually hit the apex, get on the power nicely, and keep yourself running your momentum up through the hill. But
so there are three runoff sections. We're going to come here down the straightaway, and we'll come into what some people call the 90 or turn one. We'll follow along here for a second.
There's all that runoff that you're talking about.
Now, some guys will really get inside that corner. Some guys are going to come all the way up here. Of course, no one does it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Ugh. That's what they should all be doing, though, so that's good.
Make me look silly.
No. It's making you look intelligent because you're telling them that's what they should do, and the smart ones at the front are doing that. 3.2 seconds, by the way, between Brown and Wheeler. Now that the draft has been broken, Brown continues to just break away and probably will accumulate, 20, 30 I-rating there. Once again, two very different lines taken through the bus stop, and I got scared that Kaglar was about to lose it for a sec.
I was scared, yeah. There were a couple guys who were going to lose it there. It looked really sketchy on that zoomed-in camera there.
Zoomed-in cameras are terrible, clearly.
Yeah,
I'm joking because end of the Watkins Glen 6 hours, there was a fight for second in the GTP class on the final lap. And because I was so focused trying to see where they were and the leader was, I'm producing and commentating that race, I left it on the zoomed-in camera for when a car went around the outside into the bus stop to grab second on the final lap.
Nice.
Yeah, not exactly.
This is the second runoff. Now, this one you can get up on with no off-track right here. You can get all the way up to that grass and not serve any penalty or any incident point with an iRacing. So you're almost encouraged to get out that far and come back on track.
Not the case at this next one, though, where there is also lots of runoff, but if you do go wide enough, you can pick up an off-track.
This one is weird. I've spent a lot of hours at this track, Arjuna, and I can't tell you what isn't an off-track in that corner. It's not perfect. It doesn't make sense. I would love to have a talk with someone about those off-tracks in that corner.
Interesting. Well, that raises the question, is an off-track calculated by things other than how far off the track you have gone? Because my assumption has always been no.
It's just the whole, the tree falls in the forest, but no one hears it kind of conversation.
Sounds yeah.
If the car goes off the track, but no one sees all four tires, is it really an off-track kind of thing?
Or if the no, exactly. This is where we need to get on the iRacing podcast to ask the tough questions. Clearly, Lukacek behind Kaglar in that all-black machine, not close enough into the bus stop. Now less than 6 minutes to go. We're into the final 4 laps of the race. And to quote Dustin Ollis, another one of our dentist puns, the amount of malpractice that we've seen in the bus stop, my word. We've gotten a fair few dentist puns into there, and I'm sure that we will workshop a few more because, like we were saying at the start, landslide winner for voting were the LMP3s at Watkins Glen this week. Everybody wanted to see it, which I assume means we'll probably end up seeing it again at some point.
I would assume so as well, and I guess this is a good time for one of those cheap plugs, Arjun. If you want to vote in the Friday Night Primetime, you just got to join into the RaceSpot Discord server. That voting goes up early every week and is up for a few days, so plenty of time to have your voice heard if you want to do that.
You're making promises that I don't know if Arjuna is going to be able to cash, by the way. Yes, RaceSpot.WTF/Discord is where the voting should be live at the conclusion of this broadcast. But yes, you're giving me too much credit. Hashtag blame Arjuna. That's the simple refrain that we have come to know and love here inside the RaceSpot commentary booth. I'll give a bit of
a good battle going on right here, Arjuna. I'm curious to see what this purple-green car is going to do here. If he's just laying back and waiting for his moment, or if he really doesn't have the tires left to make this pass. But with that draft down this back straight, I would think he'd be able to make a move here.
Still doesn't seem like he's getting close enough out of the 90, and Merrily actually, I think, got a little bit of slow run out of the exit, and so now is really starting to close up. Need to be, I think, within 2, maybe 3 tenths. 2 tenths is keeping yourself a little bit closer. 3 tenths is probably about the distance of where you can hope to make a slide through. What I was going to say, by the way, is RaceSpot.WTF/Discord. Even if the voting is not up, you can always influence me by suggesting things that you want to see. So come and join us. Come and chat all things motorsport. And who knows, maybe you'll be part of our Friday Night Primetime coverage rolling forward for the rest of Season 3. The LMP3 car, not the only bit of new content. It joined the GTP Cadillac, it joined the 992 generation Porsche GT3 car, just in terms of road machines, and then 2 new racetracks as well, Willow Springs and Motorland Aragon, to join the fun from 4th position. Esteban Steffel bins it, loops it back into the path of Ali Kaglar, who has no time to respond. Lukacek will grab 4th.
And that's how quickly a race can change. Here we are kind of thinking, oh, we're at 3 minutes left. It's kind of chilled off. And then that kind of moment happens. And these two guys, if we can find an onboard, it'd be scary to watch it from their point of view, just how quick it happens and how quick of a decision they had to make to be able to avoid that moment.
Let's start by just watching Kaglar's point of view, because it picks up. You said you can run wide, but you've got to be careful you don't run too wide into the grass, and I am pretty confident that is what Esteban Steffel ends up doing. We'll look from up above one more time, and you'll just...
Oh, way too wide.
Yeah, way too much, and...
Doesn't hit the grass, but I think it has such an arc to get it back on the track.
I think you can see the tire marks, actually, there. You wanted the onboard with those behind. Let's go with the second car, because he's even more unsighted, let's not forget.
Oh. You can hear the lack of decision, how you just on throttle, off throttle, on throttle, off throttle, not sure where to go, trying to buy the time to figure out what lane was going to be open.
And so often people will say that you just make a decision and you go for it, but that's a case in point for showing why sometimes you need to be a little bit more cautious and have the indecision. It's great to have an opinion on which way you want to go, but sometimes cars are still rolling, and so both of them navigated the situation well, and credit where's credit's due, both survived.
Yeah, both survived, and they might be just as surprised as we are that they both survived, to be honest with you.
I would not be entirely shocked about that. They are within 3 tenths, and now more importantly, Lukacek has no draft. Merrily's behind, trying to close on up. So keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on Peterson and Morelli, who are fighting for 6th and 7th positions, as well as Nathan Nicholson and Patrick Jarzinski, as the Kachow comes up the inside, grabs 10th position. Jarzinski slides to 11th for the time being, but it's all the while as we head on to the penultimate lap of the race as Leo Brown sets sail. And I think it is indeed the penultimate lap of the race, because he's been setting such a tempo that we're going to do 13 laps, not the 12 I was thinking.
Yeah, he's ready to spin the class of the field. And no surprise, he's the one car. He has the highest I rating. And obviously now we're finding out why. Just minute by minute, he's just showing us how it's done.
Here's that train for
These
fourth.
guys are way to the inside. Okay, thank you.
It was all about the draft that I think I was just not sure if he had enough of. And with Diego merrily popping to the outside, he didn't feel like he had enough of the overspeed to go door-to-door. They did go door-to-door behind. Morelli and Peterson, slight contact. Both get through the grass safely. Both still out on track in the order that they were going into the quarter.
I'm not advocating for it because I have not tried it yet, but we're seeing a lot of almost NASCAR-style bump draft or the just a push and go. To get around someone here. That's the third or fourth example of that we've seen so far.
Clearly, the lesson is that aerodynamics aren't so important in this LMP3 machine. I did think we were going to get one more lap, but I think we are about to be proven wrong because as they continue to fight behind, out of the final quarter, coming to take the checkered flag in dominant fashion. From flag to flag, it's Leo Brown on top in the Turn Trophy LMP3 fixed here at Watkins Glen. Chris Wheeler will grab second. Christian Halsmason will grab third come the line, while it will indeed be Wojciech Lukacek who will hold off Diego Merrily on their run to the checkered flag. They saw carnage in front of them, were able to peel either side and work their way to the line. Fast little 20-minute race, fun little 20-minute race as well, Derek.
Yeah, a great time. Lots of passing, lots of carnage, lots of strategy. That was fun.
We'll wait for Davids Grant, Nicholson, Yarczynski, Gachnang, Ware, and then Ed Bridle to come across the line as well. But I guess finally, we can look forward to saying goodbye to Watkins Glen, Derek.
Hopefully. It's one of the most used tracks in the service, so I'm not that hopeful, but maybe for a week.
I'll take a week off. That will be a start. Barney the Flagman continues to fly.
Such aggression.
I know, but you know what? He is not the most aggressive person that you've ever seen flying a flag. Do you know who that is?
No.
It's the official flagman for the NTT IndyCar Series, as well as RaceSpot's own Aaron Likens. Have you ever seen some of the clips of Aaron up there in the flag stand who just adds such a level of pizzazz to the flag duties?
I'm off to YouTube after this, apparently, to find out what you're talking about.
You will. Go back and look at his very first 500 qualifying weekend, because, boy, did that look cool. Finally, all cars are across the line. The flag waving can stop. The race results can be totted up, and we can grab a look at them. Leo Brown, almost 4 seconds clear come the end of Chris Wheeler, while Christian Halsmason will grab the final spot on the podium. Lukacek grabs 6 positions to climb his way from 10th to 4th. He finishes in front of Diego Merrily as they battled on the very final lap of the race. Didn't battle as closely, though, as Peterson and Morelli, who made contact through the bus stop on the very final lap, but ended up finishing in the order that they entered. It's going to be the 7, the 18, and the 12 that are behind, with a couple of drivers making up positions, but plenty just suffering in some attrition through the course of what was a pretty tough race for just 20 minutes. Patrick Yarczynski, Gary Gachnang, Ryan Ware, final car scored on the lead lap in front of Istvan Steffel, who tangled with Ali Kaglar with 2 or 3 to go. Ed Bridle, Jose Herrero, and then Paul Mune round out the field of 18 starters that took the green flag. This would usually be the time that we would be looking forward to a quick chat with a couple of our drivers to get a sense for what they saw in that race, but Friday night primetime, the way of the Friday evenings, traditionally, we're not always guaranteed a chat with our winner. So instead, what we can do, Derek, is talk about what is on deck for next week. The vote goes to the community once more. NASCAR Cup action at the streets of Chicago. That's going to be intriguing. Touring Car Challenge at Daytona. That's not much different than Chicago Street Circuit at the end of the day. FIA Formula 4 at Imola, and then Porsche Cup at Road Atlanta. This time a little bit more of a mix. Open and fixed setup.
Very much a mix, and I'm kind of conflicted as I stare at it. I don't know what I'm going to vote for. I'm going to have to stare at it and figure it out. My NASCAR roots say NASCAR, but I don't know.
That is the NASCAR A Next Gen official fix series as well, if you are wondering. If you are a NASCAR fan, maybe you want to try and get the NASCAR guys some representation to close out June. Touring car at Daytona always means plenty of draft to play itself as well. And let's not forget, brand new partnership between the fine folks over at iRacing and the FIA to rebrand the iRacing IR04 to the FIA Formula 4. That heads to Imola. Porsche Cup at Road Atlanta. I don't know. I think that's my personal favorite, Derek.
I will say there's some thoughts about Road Atlanta within the RaceSpot crew.
A lot of wrong opinions as well. Anyone who does not like Road Atlanta is factually incorrect.
Sure.
Uh-oh.
It's okay.
Uh-oh.
I'm fired.
Sounds like we're heading off into RaceSpot After Dark. But once again, Friday Night Primetime has come and gone. We made our way, we returned, I should say, to Watkins Glen, this time breaking out the brand new LMP3 car, and boy, was there some shine put on the surface here today. Plenty of malpractice through the bus stop, to quote RaceSpot's own Dustin Ollis. And don't forget, you get your chance to be heard once again. RaceSpot Primetime will be up for vote for Week 3 on June the 30th, so join us at racespot.wtf/Discord to get part of the vote. For Derek Watson, alongside myself, Arjuna Kankiparty, thank you so much for your company, and we'll see you next time here live on RaceSpot TV.